All right, guys.
I don't know where he is.
There he is.
Man's in the house. Absolute honour, obviously. This man needs no introduction. Tom Panos has revolutionised the real estate industry, the coaching industry, nominated as thought leader this year as well. So
Head to head.
head to head. So we'll see.
Hey, as long as it
Let's see if we can not make you leave Frankston. But anyway, guys, this is a gentleman who has interviewed real estate professionals, the elite, since 2010. One interview per week since 2010. Would that be about right? So we're talking at least 300 interviews.
Correct.
So if anyone knows who's doing what and who's doing those things that make elite agents elite, it'll be Tom. So without further ado,
Welcome.
welcome. Thank you.
What a nice welcome. Like it does work. Clapping makes me feel good. Shit. What a nice welcome it is to be here. And I just feel like I just want to tell you stuff that I probably won't say at a big conference when there's like 20 different groups all together at the one place. Maybe talk about things like that. Maybe take a lot of questions. I know Panos and Maria have pre-framed you and told you that I want to do that. Feel free to ask, anything on the table, real estate, life. I just share with you very quickly about my background, the fact that we're here, and the person that drove me here, Cheryl's Greek. Right? The fact I come here and Panos and Maria are Greek, and I'm Greek as well, right? I was brought up in a place called Belmore, and Belmore is next to a place called Lakemba in Sydney, and that's where all the troubles happen when you hear, Belmore Lakemba Punch Bowl, and I was that's where I was brought up. I went to school there. It was really interesting. I should have went to Belmore Boys School, Belmore Boys High School, but my mum had some other Greek lady tell her, make sure that your boy doesn't go to a boys' school, goes to a co-ed school, right? So she actually lied and said that we lived on the other side of Canterbury Road, right? I subsequently found out she thought that if you went to a boys' school you'd become gay, right? And so I went to Kingsgrove North School, and it was, I had a good time at school, but I've got to tell you, my dad worked at a factory all his life, and I left school in year 10, and I lasted leaving school in year 10 for about 3 days. And I went and worked with my dad at a factory, and he was a fitter and turner, and they used to work on lathes. And I've got to tell you, it was really weird, because all the cool kids, all the kids that were the cool kids at school seemed to be the kids that left school in year 10 at the time. It's funny, I look back now, and I went to my 30-year school reunion, and they're no longer the cool kids. And I look back and I see who are the cool kids, and it seems to be the people that were focused and driven back then. It seems to have been a trait that they carried through. I woke up, I work long hours, and I do a lot of things. I probably work close to 80, 90 hours a week, and someone said to me recently, they said, I don't know how you do it, how hard it is, and I just said, mate, this is not hard. I said, I'll tell you what hard was. I said, my dad would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and he would have toast with Kraft cheese. It was his breakfast, and he'd have a Greek coffee. And my dad used to go work at a factory, and he worked at a factory till like 4 o'clock, and then he used to come home, have a shower, and sit down and he did that for 40 years for around $300. So, and he never complained once. So when I hear real estate agents complain about things, about how hard it is, I find it very difficult, you know, to understand and empathise with it, because I actually think, you know, what an amazing gift that real estate has been. I've just got this total attitude and gratitude to real estate, because I look at what my dad does for 40 years and never complained for $350. And I look at the fact that there are salespeople that sit in an office and they allow time to go by when they could make some calls to people, and those calls could lead to relationships that they're not going to be $15,000 today, but they're going to be $15,000 in 2019. And if you have so many of those conversations, it's like you're doing these little deposits into your bank account. And when you think about that, you begin to feel guilty about how you spend your time at work, because you realise to yourself, shit, I've got it made. What am I doing wasting my time? I asked Manos just before I went to the bathroom. I said, Manos, just tell me again, what are the things we should focus on? And he said it. And I said to Manos, you know what? I don't even know why I asked you, because I know that deep down, the biggest issue that we have in real estate is this. Skill is a little bit overrated. If you know how to list and sell a house, you know how to list and sell 5 houses. If you know how to list and sell 5 houses, you know how to list and sell 20 houses. So the bottom line is, it's not like there's this incredible scientific formula that you've got to learn to sell a house. Once you've learned how to do it, it's then about having the discipline, the process, the rituals, the system, and the comfort to be uncomfortable, to do it repeatedly, that separates that 5% that I interview versus the other 95%. Here's the things that I've learned in 5 to 6 years of research. The top 5% are not smarter. The top 5% have not got better educations. The top 5% are not better looking. I've learned that. What's that? Everyone's feeling better, right? Right. What I've learned about the top 5% is that they want the easy way out. That is a human psychological factor. Left to our own devices, we would all prefer to spend our time doing leisure. We would all prefer to take the shortest cut to do something. They're no different. But what they have learned is this. They've accepted the feeling of being uncomfortable, because they know that uncomfortable leads to something that is comfortable later. That's the thing that they've learned. They've got comfortable being uncomfortable. There's this incredible survey study done. It's called the marshmallow experiment. And it's just a very great insight into the way humans are. So what they've done is this was done about 25 years ago. They get these kids that are 3 to 5 years of age, and they put them in a room. And in the room, what they did is they had glass that researchers from a university can see inside, but the kids can't see on the outside. And the scientist goes in and he gives each of these children a marshmallow with lots of sugar. And he says to them, you're all getting one marshmallow. if you don't eat the marshmallow for 5 minutes, we'll give you a second marshmallow. But if you eat the marshmallow, you don't get a second marshmallow. The researcher walks out. One kid picks up his marshmallows and stuffs it in his mouth. It took 5 seconds. The next kid looks at this kid and he gets a marshmallow and he puts it in his mouth and eats it as well. The next kid looks at the other two and she does the same thing. While this is going on, there's another kid and he's got his marshmallow and he's got his hands and he's holding it down away from his mouth. And he's looking at the clock. He's looking at the clock to go to 5 because he wants to get that second marshmallow. After around 3 minutes, he breaks and he picks it up and he puts it in his mouth and he's about to eat it, and you can tell he's just about to stuff it in his mouth. He looks at the time and puts it back down. 5 minutes happens, the researcher comes in, he has a look, one kid's got the marshmallow. The researcher gives the kid a marshmallow and says, sorry, you're the only one. All the other kids start crying. What they do for the next 30 years is they follow these kids. They've been part of the research. And what they find is that this kid that didn't eat the marshmallow is worth financially what the other kids are all worth together. That study and variations of that study has been repeated many times over the years. And it studies a concept called delayed gratification. The ability to do something now and not get rewarded for it now, but know that you'll get rewarded for it later. I'm telling you, it's the most important psychological aspect in your real estate life. Because I want you to understand that if you actually think about what is real estate all about, it's about you having a conversation with Sophia and being able to know that to Sophia, I'm ringing her up to say, Sophia, I'm letting you know that today there were 20 properties that have got sold for the week in our area. Out of the 20, this was the highest, this was the lowest, and I'm just giving you this feedback. The marketplace is good. There was one that sold in the street next to you. It affects all the values now. Would you like me to tell you what the new value of your home is? No? Okay, that's fine. Just keeping you in contact. If anything else happens, I'll let you know. And to be able to know that when I look at Sophia, what I'm doing is I'm putting money in my bank account that's going to hit my account in 6 years' time, in 3 years' time. That's how you build a real estate sustainable business. It's called playing the long game. Play the long game. At the school reunion I went there, I was like, as confident as I come across speaking at public sessions. I have to tell you, I just felt so nervous going to my school reunion, right? In my head, I sort of was thinking what I'm going to say. I'll walk in. Who am I going to walk? Can I walk in with someone? I was ringing up people, let's go together, right? And it was really interesting because at one point I was sitting there at the reunion and I just sat there at a corner and a guy came up to me and he said, Tom, do you remember me? It's 30 years is a long time. Everyone's changed, by the way. He said, I've been following you a lot. He goes, I'm on Facebook with you. And he goes, I'm not in real estate, I'm in business. A lot of the stuff you say is relevant. He goes, I've noticed that you've popped in the last few months. I said, what do you mean by that? He goes, you popped, bang, it's happened. And he goes, what was the game changer? I said, what? I said, when you say pop, like, he goes, mate, he goes, I just noticed that, you're everywhere, like, I see you, you're on Sky Business, you're doing this, your seminars, you're, mate, he goes, you're everywhere, I know you're doing well. I said, hey, I just want to let you know, this is like a 14-year project. I said, do you know what I've been doing the last 14 years? And he goes, no. And he goes, you want to get a beer? Brings a beer, we sit down. And I'll tell you what I've been doing. I said, for the last 14 years, I said, I'll just explain to you. I said, I've been working approximately 60 to 65 hours for News Corporation. I said, when I'd leave there, I would spend approximately 1 to 2 hours every day on Tom Panos, building an email database, growing my numbers. I started pumping out written blogs. I started then moving about 6 years ago into video blogs. I said I spoke at 250 events at no charge. I said, do you know that my first 50 auctions I did not charge a client? Then I got confident and I started charging $150. I said, so I'd work 5 days and then I'd work Saturday. And I said, while that was going on, I was also, investing in real estate, and I would buy properties that would need work. So to save money, I would actually go and meet builders myself instead of getting someone to project manager. I was doing that. And I said, by the way, I said, before that, the 3 years before that, I'd gone back to finish uni and I did my masters while I was working. I said, while that was going on, I had 4 years of chemotherapy and radiation. And I said, so when you come along and you say to me, Tom, what's the game changer? What made you pop in the last 3 months? I said, I've got to tell you. I said, I've been playing a really long game. Anyway, he sat there and he goes, all right, fuck, it's good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Anyway, yeah, let's go talk to some more people, right? Yeah, as Maria said, too hard basket. Too hard basket. See, I have to tell you, I said it at Momentum, at that event that some of you went, hustle beats talent when talent won't hustle. Hustle beats talent when talent won't hustle. You can have all the degrees in the world. Give me someone that when I look in their eye, that first 5 seconds, I see someone that is starving to be successful. Not hungry, starving to be successful. That look in their eye. Give me someone that's got the hustle, the grind, and can read the play. And I can tell you, that's the person that smashes it in real estate. So you turn around and you say to yourself, why doesn't everyone do it? Why doesn't everyone do it? And I love it. I'd love today, this hour that we have, I'd love today to potentially be a breakthrough. Because I know that you work for some of the greatest people in the country. These people, do you know I walk into some offices? Manos said, mate, I've got some amazing people, but I've got to get back to some of the basic stuff. I walk into some principals, I'm not joking, and the owners of the business say to me, Tom, thanks for coming over, have a look around at the office, don't worry too much about these guys, they're dead wood. That's what business owners say. They're dead wood. I had one happen to me recently. He goes, Tom, don't worry about these guys. They're dead wood. I said, dead wood? I said, were they dead when you hired them? Or did you kill them? Just curious. He looked at me and he said, what do you mean? I said, I don't know. Is it a recruitment problem or is it a management problem? I said, it's one of the two. And I know that Panos and Maria have got utmost faith, and they want, you know, they're passionate, they've written a book, they go out there, they tell their story at conferences as much as they can, because they've made passion their paycheck, which I think is important, to make passion your paycheck. That's why when I work, you know, 80, 90 hours, yes, it's draining, and there are days, I've got to tell you, there have been days where I have just been so on high alert, where I've worked like so long and hard, and I've tried to wind down, and I've gone in. This happened recently. I've gone in, and I've been away from home interstate, like I am today, and I've gone in to sit in the movies just to chill out, and I've sat in a movie chair, and I've moved and tried to put a seatbelt on as if I'm in an airplane. You know, I'm just, you know, I've sat there, been there, and I think, shit, no, it's not a plane, it's a movie. Right? That's happened, right? But I know that the thing that I've got that helps me win a lot is that I've got a great jigsaw. My jigsaw is my picture. And I talk about the jigsaw puzzle. I love that metaphor. My daughter does jigsaws, Madeline, and I said to her last year, she was doing a jigsaw, she had a report, and I was going over it. I said, Maddie, that's a great school report. And she didn't look up, and then I said, look up for a moment, let go of the jigsaw. And then after a while, she looked up, and I said, let's set a target for December on your school report. She said to me, Daddy, a target? She goes, you keep thinking you're on your mobile phone talking to real estate agents. She goes, I'm your daughter. I said, let's set a goal, a target. And she didn't want to. And then we, you know, I said to her, what's the first thing you do when you put a jigsaw puzzle together? Because she loves jigsaws. She said, I look at the back of the box. And I've got to tell you, I said to her, that's why you need a target. And I noticed that someone that doesn't have the hustle, someone that doesn't have the drive, someone that's not grinding away, what they're missing is they don't have a clear picture of why they're doing what they're doing. That's the absolute secret, because it's not hard. You know that there's nothing worse in real estate, by the way. Can I tell you? There's nothing worse if you work in an office that you're doing worse than someone, and that person is dumber than you, right? Right? You think to yourself, how's that work out? That's not fair, right? But you'll probably find that they're a little bit hungrier. They've got a bigger drive, right? So I'd love you to talk to each other for around 30 seconds, and then we're going to move into a Q&A after that. Why do you think that people don't do what they should do? You know what you know, but do you do what you know? Why don't people do what they should do? Have a quick chat about it. I'd like to talk about that. So guys, open up. Let's be real. Let's be real. Let's open up. Let's not say what you think should be said. Let's say what you really feel. That's where I find that you get growth, right? I'll always pick someone that's real and authentic, even though that they might come across clumsy, than someone that's fake and nice. Always pick the other person, right? What do people think?
Excuses.
Excuses. Excuses. Man, what's your first name?
Peter.
Peter. So this happened to me. I walked down a street once in the eastern suburbs of Sydney and to visit our best publication is the Wentworth Courier. It's our best publication because it's $4,000 a page. That's right. An agent followed me out. He said, Tom, listen, mate, if you know of anyone, want a big office, big brand, big network, big type business, you know, if you know of anyone, let me know because I'm out of this joint. Had my expiry date. I said, fair enough. I said, I'll keep it in the back of my head. I said, I'm not a recruiter, but I'll keep it if something comes up. 10 minutes later, because they're all the offices are next to each other there, double bay. 10 minutes later, I can't believe it. It's like a setup at a movie. I go into an office, finish, walk out, the guy comes out, goes, Tom, can I buy you a juice or a coffee? I said, okay. We sit down, he goes, listen, mate, this place here is like a supermarket. It's too big. I said, right. He goes, I'm not suited. I'm suited to being in a smaller office. You know, everyone's fighting against each other in this office. I need to work in a smaller office. He goes, if you know of anyone. I thought to myself, man. I thought to myself, shit, I pick up a $20,000 recruitment fee from that to him. Just do a straight swap. Right? Right. But they both have stories in their head. Office is too big. That's my problem. Office is too small. That's my problem. I'm too young. That's my problem. I had a girl say to me once, she said to me, you know, she's dropping me off at the airport. She goes, Tom, I like real estate. It's early stages, but I'm just finding my feet. You know, I'll get there in the end, but I've just got to keep learning. I said, how long have you been in real estate? She said, oh, you know, 2.5 years. And I said, when won't you be new? So you're sorry? I said, when in your head do you say, okay, I'm no longer new? I said, because as long as you keep saying you're new, you're going to show up at a listing presentation as new. You're going to show up in a negotiation as new. You're going to keep saying to yourself, the reason why you're not doing what you're doing is because you're new. This is really interesting because this tells us the most important story of all is the story you tell yourself. It is so critical. It is so critical. It is so critical. I changed my story in around 2007. I'll explain to you my story. I'm going through cancer. I'm suffering depression. I'm taking Valium to help me sleep. I'm seeing a psychologist at Royal Prince Alfred Hospital. My oncologist pulls me aside. He says, Tom, you need to pull yourself together. I said, how can I, doctor? I said, I have a 4-year-old daughter. I said, you know what my probability is. I said, you won't even tell me the numbers. And he said, Tom, I need you to be positive. I said, it's easy for you to say that, but you're not going through what I'm going. He said, I know, but Tom, you understand. He said, Tom, and he pulled out, I think he printed it off the internet, and it was called the placebo effect. And he gave it to me. And he said, Tom, I've got to go see another patient, but I'm going to let you have a read of this. And I'm going to see you in about an hour, and I want you to tell me what this means to you. He walked away, and I started reading. The placebo effect was about the fact that if you're in a research study, they call it a double-blind study. They won't tell you whether you're on the drug or not. Because if they tell you you're on the drug, it can affect the results. So what they do is they want to allow to take away positive thinking. That freaked me out because all of a sudden I had this doctor, a scientist, an oncologist that had given me a report to tell me the placebo effect says if you think positive, it can change the biochemistry of your body. He came back and he said, Tom, have you understood what the placebo effect is? I said, yes. He goes, do you realize that life and death with a lot of cancer is 1, 2, 3%? I said, yes. He said, Tom, based on what you've read, is it better that you believe you're going to get better, or is it better that you're going to believe that you're going to die? I said, it's better to believe I'm going to get better. He said, okay. That moment, I made the decision that I would be the most optimistic, positive person on the planet. Why? Because if it changes your biochemistry, what would thinking positive, optimistic, and having belief do to your life in business? What would it mean if you rocked up each day optimistic and positive with a good attitude? What if you changed your mindset to thinking to yourself, writing 600,000 is very achievable, and you believed it? So I have to tell you, you cannot have a positive life with a negative mind. And work harder on yourself than the job. Remember that. Work harder on yourself than the job. Why? You are the job. You are the job. So I've spent the last 8, 9 years, I'm in progress. I'm a product in progress. And what I do is I associate with people that are successful because it helps me have self-belief. I associate with people that are doing well. Why? Because I know that I will try and be equal, if not better, to them. And it takes effort, because the normal switch on the planet is negative. You don't want to be the agent that sits in the back of the office whinging about how tough things are. You want to be talking to the agent and you're watching him making the calls, because you look at that behaviour. So I urge you that you take the placebo effect in your business life. Doesn't matter whether you're playing tennis to hit a first serve, placebo works there. Whether you want to ask a girl out, placebo works there. Placebo works everywhere. Just being a more optimistic and positive person. What were other things that came up as to why people don't do it? Makes you feel uncomfortable. See how the reality is anything that's good in your life has been the things that have felt shit at the time. Everything that felt uncomfortable. Like, let's face it, how uncomfortable is it to have a baby if you're a woman? Right? How uncomfortable, yet you turn around and people will do anything for their kids. Right? How uncomfortable is it to actually, have to invest so money on yourself? Like, people don't want to invest money in their own business. It's uncomfortable. Yet the reality is that you're investing to grow your business, whether you're doing it with support staff, whether you're doing it to build your brand. How uncomfortable it is to go take a mortgage of $800,000 and buy a property, right? And you look back 10 years later and you say to yourself, shit, I bought it for $1 million. It's now worth 2.5. How would I have made $1.5 million? You had sleepless nights. the time of signing the contract, you had all thoughts of head, because your head's really funny. It's because it's incredible it's position to be able to lie in bed where you have 99% problems going through your head, with the reality is that 86% of those things are fucked up, made up scenarios that never happen. Do you know what I mean? Where you sit there and you think, imagine these things, right? Yeah. So my final points before Q&A: get comfortable being uncomfortable. Don't try and build a great life. Build habits that will build a great life. Remember that. Build habits to build a great life. Because it's very hard to force yourself every second week to make 40 phone calls every day. But I can tell you that if you do it for around 30 to 40 days, your body changes and that becomes a ritual. So all I'm interested in is the power of habit. If I ever want to change something in my life, I just put it through a habit process. And I never, ever go 2 days breaking the habit. Why? You go 2 days, you're saying, I'm drifting away. Mm-hmm. 1 day, something happens, you get back on track. There's a 2-day rule. It's in the book, The Power of Habit. They clearly say, when someone's serious, they never go 2 days. Guys, girls, some questions. Fire away.
Can I ask you a question? What's been one of the highlights of your career in real estate?
Highlight of my career in real estate is
Or has it been many?
I'm just thinking of the I have to tell you, I think the highlight would have to be is falling into real estate as a job, because the truth of the matter is I'm not, I've gone to uni, and if you sat down there and spoke to your typical recruitment consultant, they would say, what is someone that's done so much uni, so much academic, got a master's level, doing in real estate? Yet the reality is, I think that's the fact that I fell into it meant that I was able to work a job that I like. See, I think that what I noticed is, so the truth is I could have been doing lots of other jobs, but what I noticed that people that are the most happiest is when they're doing jobs that they're good at and they like. Because research shows that you are here, it's called flow. You're in flow. Flow is where everything feels good because you can do the job, you like it, you add value, people are happy, and it feels, this is where you want to be. Do things that you're good at and that you like. That is the state that you're in. And I don't think if I was in real estate, I would have it, right? I have to tell you, real estate's been, I'm not trying to be a poser, but I could not have built the financial nest egg I have without real estate. Real estate has been in 100%. And I want you to, and please, guys and girls, I want you to understand, this is really important. Do not think that real estate is going to make you wealthy, right? Do not think that real estate is going to make you wealthy. What's going to make you wealthy is to take a bit of money that you get each year and put it in as a deposit into property. You can put it in shares, but property is our thing. And if it goes up 10% a year, think about it. You're holding $5 million worth of real estate. At 10% growth, you're making $500,000 while you sleep. And all you do is work hard, get money every time you've got a deposit. Now think about it. In real estate, I know you guys are a really nice split compared to, some of my clients. They're on, 30. I've got clients of mine. I've got clients of mine that are on 34% split. They get 34%, right? I'm telling you, right? But even if you took a client, even if you took a client that was on $1 million a year, right? And they're on, say, a 50% split, right? Let's do the numbers. They're left with 500,000, right? 500,000. 500, you're going to pay the tax office 150. That leaves you 350. Out of that, you're going to have to pay for 2 assistants. Roughly to be $1 million, you've got 2 people. You've got a buyer, PA, admin PA. That's the way these guys work. That's going to cost you 150. That leaves you 200,000. 200,000, you have not had food in your mouth yet. So there you've got to start paying. Let's do it. Car. If you're $1 million agent, you're not driving a Daihatsu, are you? Right? Because you've got to look like $1 million agent. So you're driving this nice car that's probably going to have a lease payment of around $2,000, $2,500 a month. And you're not living in Taylor's Lake. You're probably going to be living in something that's a little bit dearer. And when you go on holidays, you know what? You're not backpacking it. So all of a sudden, like, you know, and then you've got to eat. You've got to go to restaurants. You've got to do this, you've got to do that. Some of these agents in Sydney, after that, they're doing cocaine, right? So right? Where's the money go, right? So the truth of the matter is, understand. By the way, that's very true. That's extremely common. So the secret, of course, is to get money out of real estate and invest it and grow and build your asset base, you know. So I would say a highlight has been getting into, I'm grateful. I can't believe it. Sometimes I've had a nightmare once where I got up and I was thinking, what was it that woke me up? And it was like, what happened is that the government decided that they were going to do an inquiry into the real estate industry. How is it that everyone is making so much money? And I thought to myself, shit, they found out. Right? So, yeah, it's just, yeah, that's the reason. More questions.
I've got one for you. The sacrifice that you know you have to make when you're starting out your career,
Yeah.
how do you make that extra sacrifice? How do you push past knowing that you're not giving your time to your children and you're focusing on work for now? How do you actually push yourself to make that decision?
Okay, so it's really interesting because I actually think to myself, this is a thing where it basically says, for me to succeed, the children will suffer. Okay, and that can be true. It can also not be true, right? I know plenty of situations where the person doesn't work and the kids suffer. And I know plenty of situations where the person works really, really hard and they make some sacrifices and then they give a little bit to the children. So I think what it does, what I notice with people, and women are particularly good at doing this. Like yesterday I did an event with Delene Lewis, one of my clients. She writes, big numbers, 2 mil. She's got a young baby, and she just explained the process. She gets family involved, right? She's very strict with her time, right? Very strict with her time. So I actually think that you can be successful and your children don't suffer. It is a belief system, right? It is a belief system. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say is that I always thought to myself, this is the way I was brought up, I thought to myself that I would actually make some sacrifices now, and the result would be that my daughters would go to a better school, right? And because I think that there's a great saying, if you feed someone with fish, you feed them for a day. You teach them how to fish, you feed them for life. So for me, education was something that's a bigger gift than giving them property or giving them an asset, right? So I always thought to myself, you know what, I'll sacrifice here, but I'll have a better education, right? And that benefit outweighs the fact that maybe I missed that event and that event, right? I definitely, I miss out on a few things because of my travel, but I've learned I don't kill myself about it. I don't beat myself up about it. I don't beat myself up about it, right? And like Panos and Maria, one of the things I do is I try and compensate with holidays, right? And bunch in a lot of stuff. Why? Because when you're on holidays, you have a more natural family member with you, whereas during the week, you have the routine person with you. So the connection is stronger. You understand that concept, you know? You know what I mean? Like the routine thing is, get that, get the cornflakes, eat that, take that. What are you doing? What have you done? You put my mobile phone in the microwave, take that out, now I charge it up. My daughter once said, Daddy, I go, where's the phone? She goes, I got it in the microwave. I go, why is that? They said that you can charge it that way. Fuck, I've smacked it. Next question.
I have a question. How much training do you do on yourself per year? Like, do you have a coach What training do you do
Okay.
yourself?
Okay, so I'll explain what I do. So I would spend a minimum of 1 hour per day listening to podcasts. And the reason why I like podcasts, car, walking, aeroplanes, I can be listening to it, right? So podcasts are my main form. I love, at the moment, 10X is my favourite podcast. So I listen to someone, I'm a bit weird. I'm the sort of person that can listen to a song like 500 times over and over again. I just keep replaying it, like a obsessive compulsive, right? And then I forget about it, right? And with podcast, I pick one person and I listen to them. So podcast is one way of learning. I have a lady called Arlene who's my naturopath / health coach. She's more about food, nutrition. I see her once a month, right? I have someone that I go and get a massage every week. Every week I have a massage, right? So they're not a coach, but these are all people that are doing things for me holistically. I have Trent, who's a personal trainer that I see once a week, but I train every day. But he is there just to fine-tune things that I'm doing, right? John McGrath is someone that I do a weekly podcast with, and that conversation I have, that's been going on, you know, for quite some time, acts as a coaching conversation. Because it's quite interesting, you know, when you're actually doing self-development to other people, you're doing self-development to yourself, right? So if you actually look at it right now, this for me is me talking to you, but I'm doing self-development to myself. There's that. I do have one person that I speak to that I met at the hospital, and he's a psychologist. And does he? I have conversations. Part of my issue was when it was being part of a clinical trial. It was quite sad because I met a lot of people. I met a lot of people that passed away, right? So in excess of 30 people. And a lot of them were younger because I hung around with the younger people, right? Well, people my age. People my age. I wasn't more with people. I was 36, 37 at the time, right? And I met them. And I struggled a lot seeing so many people going there. But one of the most profound moments that happened is one of my friends that I'd met through chemo passed away, and the father started suffering depression. And then one day I was walking through a shopping centre and I saw him and I said, "How you been?" He goes, "I'm really good." And he had changed. He looked good. And I said, "You look well." He goes, "Tom, I'm back on track." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Tom, I thought about it. Sooner or later, I had to move on. And I decided to choose sooner." And that taught me a lot. But the truth of the matter is that you're only a decision away to the way that you feel, right? That's an intelligent decision. Like in a lot of the Greek community, you'll be brought up to feel bad and sad for the rest of your life. And wear black clothes and hang around the church, right? Right? But he said, sooner or later, I had to move on, right? So if you turn around and say, they're the people. Look, I've tried a few coaches. So here's the deal. I'll never take coaching advice on someone about marriage counselling on someone that's on their third fucking marriage. Right? Right? Now you can turn around and say, oh, they've learned, they're going to give you. I'll definitely not buy a financial program on how to increase my financial net wealth from someone that sells financial programs that's broke themselves. Right? And I won't simply take, I won't hire a personal trainer that's 140 kilos, right? Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just, very, very picky with who I'll lend my mind to. I think success leaves clues. You look at people, and you look at what they accumulate, and you look at their behaviours, and you can see who are successful people. But I actually think that the best coaches, Sophia, the best coaches are the people that you hang out with. Because they're not there for 1 hour. They're there every minute of the day. So think about it. If the four closest people to you are 4 dickheads. Think about it. It might not happen this week, it might happen the next week, but sooner or later, you'll become the 5th dickhead, right? It's just the nature of it. That's the way it works, right? So be very, very, very careful with the people. I've got a lot of friends who don't think the way, and I've got no problem with it, because it's my journey, it's not theirs. And I get that. When they think something is too hard, it's not hard, it's hard in their eyes, right? So I don't feel bad about them, but I make sure that I have a balance of people that make me laugh, but a balance of people that I aspire to. It affects me. The people that you hang out is so important. I think they're your biggest business coaches. One of the biggest decisions I made, Sophia, is I ruthlessly eliminated dickheads out of my life. I turned around and said, that's it, no more. I didn't ring them up. I didn't ring them up and say, hey, it's time now, I've sat down, I've had a strategy workshop. There's 2 lists here, I've drawn the line, dickheads, I've got really bad news. It didn't work that way. So what it did was, what actually happens is, you see less of them. You don't return the occasional call. After a while, people get it, you know what I mean? Instead of you being out there at night, and people change. Like, man, I used to get a lot of phone calls on my phone. Like, I would wake up, in the early stages when I changed the group of people, I would wake up, and on my mobile phone, I'd wake up at 5 o'clock to go to the gym or go for a run, and I'd listen to messages, and you could hear doof, 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 music in the background. Tom, it's Chris here, where are you? We're down at the Ivy, are you anywhere near us? Thinking, it's Tuesday night. What am I doing? Where am I going to be? But the truth of the matter is, they were thinking that's where I used to be, right? Right. All of a sudden you have people that you see in the mornings that have exercised in the mornings, right? Guys, I can't tell you how important you understand the concept of AM is the time that you grow your business, PM is the time you maintain it. If there's one thing I'd want to leave here today, is I would urge you, do nothing else than every day make about 20 to 30 phone calls in the first half of the day till around 12 o'clock. Try not to make appointments in your diary. Block it out. Make it very difficult for you not to do anything else but to be making those calls. You grow your business in the morning, you maintain it in the afternoon when you've got high levels of energy. I'm pretty certain that the 1 or 2 people today that say, you know what, I'm going to use the Tom Panos 31-day challenge to make this thing a habit. And it's going to be uncomfortable for the first 10 days. And it's going to feel weird the next 10 days. But I'm going to have a belief. And I'm going to go 30 days. And before you know it, you're going to find that you're in a new habit of talking to 30, 40 people every day. And success is addictive. That's what I've learned. Because when it starts happening for you, it starts to get easier. Why? Firstly, because it's become a habit. But secondly, is there's this tipping point where people start calling you more because you've got activity. And then life is great. Life is great. So from the bottom of my heart, I say to you, man, if you're going to be here in real estate from 9 to 12, and that time's going to pass anyway, why don't you let that time pass and actually use that to grow your business? There's plenty of people to call. You can be calling buyers and telling them about properties that other agents have got. You're serving them. They're going to go off and tell other people, you know what, we didn't buy through Eview, but I've got to tell you, Sophia was amazing. I'd use her. Who else you ringing? Old open house lists, people ringing them up. Guys, you came and saw us in, October. We're just trying to recall at that time, did you come in because you were researching, buying or selling? Where were you doing at that stage? Call people back that have bought a house in April last year. Do you know that it's exactly 12 months that you bought this house? Would you like to know the new value of your home? And you just get into this habit of doing this activity, and you just do it, and before you know it, things start happening to you. I have to tell you, it's not harder than that. There's nothing more to that. I'm telling you, there is nothing more to it. But what you do every day is more important than what you do occasionally. That's the secret. We have one more question.
You're the CEO of Tom Panos Incorporated.
Yes. Yes.
How do you maintain that energy from 5 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, 6 days a week?
Cocaine. Okay, I've got to tell you, when I see cocaine, I run, and I'm in an environment. I live in an area where it's fluent. A lot of my clients use it. Sometimes I'll just simply go into the bathroom, and someone will say, mate, it'll be at some function, and they'll say it. There's a saying: if you don't want to slip, don't hang around slippery spots. Remember that. Don't hang around slippery spots. How do I do it? I reckon it's about 5 or 6 things. Number 1 is I eat incredibly clean. Number 2 is I exercise every day. Number 3 is that I'm spending at least 1 hour a day in positive stuff. Number 4 is I don't have that much negative people in me, right? If they say something, this and that, I don't say, oh, you're negative. I just don't engage in that conversation, and I slowly drift away. So I don't let my mind get affected for it. The next thing I would say is that I do consistently is that I spend at least 3 to 5 minutes every morning looking at my yearly goal. Why? Because it makes sure that everything I'm doing is aligned each day. See, if you wrote down your yearly goal each day in your diary, right, at the top here, your to-do list, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if these things are not matched to that, you start thinking to yourself, am I being busy or am I being productive? Because these things need to be aligned to that goal. So that is so important, because there's a saying, something unimportant done well does not make that thing important, right? And there's a lot of people being busy. So they're the things. And
So when did you stop micromanaging yourself and let other people get involved in the Tom Panos enterprise?
So I have 2 people, the 2 closest people in my life that help me grow my business is Judith and Susan, and they all happened 5 years ago, 7 years ago. It happened at a point where I realised that, hey, there's this stuff that needs to get done. I don't like doing it. It needs to get done. So I thought, stuff it. Work your strengths, outsource your weakness. I worked out in my head, I pay her 60, but what will happen? is this is everything I'm going to get back. Best decision. Best decision. You can't have an amazing real estate business without an epic team. Can't be done. Can't be done. Can't be done. How does it work here? Do they have assistants? Yeah?
Yes, many of the team have
Many of the team.
assistants. Yeah.
Many of the team. Work your strengths, outsource your weakness. Work your strengths, outsource your weakness. Two kinds of assistants, a blue PA and a red PA. A red PA, more admin, picks up the trail of destruction. A blue PA is more salesy, lead generator, works buyers, right? So there's the two sort of people. I think that's one of the most important things, having an amazing team. But real estate agents are really shit at that. Real estate agents are used to actually thinking that people have got ESP, that they're supposed to be able to read your mind. You know what I mean? My experience with PAs is that the best thing, you agree with it, don't you?
Conversation.
You work together.
No.
Assumes, yeah.
Not with you.
Right. My experience is
We're
that...
married.
Oh, you're married?
You asked me if we work together.
How long have you been married?
27 years.
That's fantastic. Good stuff. It's funny you say that. I had a guy, said it this morning to a guy, I said, it was the same sort of thing. He was sitting next to his thing. He goes... He's sitting, and I said, it was funny, I said, he goes, no, it's my actual wife. I go, that's good stuff. I go, how long have you been married? He goes, 9 years. I said, that's fantastic. I said, you know, in these days, to have a long marriage is a good thing. He goes, it's my third. That was the conversation this morning. Well, I'll never forget the other one, Rick Serrao, who's a great real estate agent, you know. I said to Rick, he's one of my clients too, amazing writer. He writes about 3 million. I said to Rick, mate, saw your ex the other day. He goes, which one? He's got 2 others. His ex-wife. Guys, has it been a useful hour we've had together today? Yeah.
We've seen Tom, this is probably the 8th occasion I've seen Tom, and every single time it's one of those things you always pick up some great lines. I think there was about 20 points in that presentation alone that we can all take away. Absolute honour to have you in our team, present to our team in this session. Guys, one more round of applause. Thank you. Those people who are not on the real estate gym, I know there's half a dozen to a dozen of our team members on the real estate gym. Really go to the website. It's probably one of the best training formats that you can actually have to skill yourself up on a daily basis.
And so affordable.
And
it's
so
not rocket
affordable.
science.
Can I just give us a very small plug? On July 1 this year, there will be a thing called My Prospector, because I know what gets scheduled, gets done, what you measure, you manage. My Prospector is going to measure how many calls you do each day, each week, each month, and it's going to tell you this is where I'm at. It doesn't lie. It's going to have there, and it's going to have a clock that you're going to have sessions. You're going to say, I'm now doing a prospecting session. You'll press the clock, and you'll start making your phone calls, and then you'll just put the total calls dialed, calls reached, appointments made. It'll be there, and what you'll find is that what you schedule gets done, what you measure, you manage, and that's all for $10 a week plus all the benefits that you get, of the videos
awesome.
and coaching.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so
Can I
much.
get like a bottle of something?
I prefer this to a bottle because they're bigger. Thank you so much, guys. And You work for some very, very nice people. There's a lot of bad people in real estate. You know that, don't you? You know that some people take money out of trust accounts. All right.
Thanks again.
All right.
Thanks for attending, guys. Awesome. Great work. Great work.